Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. It is September 24th, 2019. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that all of you by now have heard about the little climate change girl known as Greta Thunberg. She's all over the media. She is everywhere, all over social media. And I've been following Greta for couple of weeks now, ever since she kind of came on to the main stage. And I have to say that I've learned quite a bit about her over the course of just the last 48 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the live chat over here and let some people get their notifications from the boob tube. And I'm going to let you know what I have found out and what I see happening. So let me go ahead and just pull up this live chat. Make sure we're streaming here. There we go. Now, a lot of you may have noticed that I've turned off the comments under my videos, and nothing personal, folks. Every now and then I'll do that just to make the troll babies mad. And also I've noticed that there have been a lot of real derogatory comments. They're not towards me. They're mainly geared towards you guys, the subscribers, the viewers. These are psychological tactics used to sway you and create doubt in your mind. Now, I've been very, very critical of this young lady. She is 16 years old, and she has been in this climate change or climate action, as they're calling it, for about the last 8 years. She was subjected to all of this starting at the age of 8, and that is of her own admission. I see very, very clearly that she is being exploited. She's now 16 years old, and her mother is a famous opera singer in Sweden. And she is, I think, directly related to, I think, maybe a grandfather, or they say a distant relative, who is, or was, I don't know if he's still alive, was a climate scientist. What I do see, ladies and gentlemen, is I see this child being exploited by the New World Order elite, the NWO, the globalists, to put out their message and create even more social unrest around the entire globe. And now they are literally using our youth as their mouthpiece to promote their propaganda and their agenda. Yes, we are going through climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been preaching about this for the last 4 years. I forewarned everyone in 2016 and 17 and 2018, showing each and every one of you the reasons why this is happening. And once again, I'll repeat myself. I did not think that this would happen so rapidly. But just like any other science, you kind of have to wait for the data to come in order to create theories, a hypothesis, and so on and so forth. As I see these things happening, you kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together. Their agenda is using this young lady as a mouthpiece, telling everyone that this climate change is man-made when in fact it is not. Science has proven many, many times that man's responsible for approximately 5% of global warming. 5%. Some scientists are saying that the Earth is cooling. Others are saying it's heating. Right now, everything is showing that the Earth is heating. I've been talking about the ice melt in the Arctic, the North Pole. I've been talking about that for 3.5 years, warning people about that condition. It is getting worse. I just wrote an article about it yesterday, did a short video about it. NASA just came out with more information on it. And I know, never a straight answer, on NASA. But some of the information that they are putting out, folks, is true. I do work closely with a few other professionals in the climate arena, and they do allow me to see their information and their data. They're not social media truthers or YouTubers. They're actually climatologists, professors that actually teach at a university, and they know that they can't go publicly out there and start saying this and saying that, because they'll be ousted, they'll be fired, and that will be that. Same thing that happened to Dr. Albers. But getting back to little Greta here, I'm going to show you some video clips and things of that nature. And, it is, they just cast this young lady into the main stage of the entire world. How does that even happen? Who is financially backing this young lady? All of the research that I've been doing is pointing to George Soros and Al Gore. Yeah, Al Gore. So there has to be some big money behind her in order to put these things together. We all know that the newspapers, magazines, the media, the TV stations, news stations, we all know that they are run, owned, and operated by the globalist consortium. That's how this young lady is able to have this massive stage, from going to her own Swedish government and protesting them, against them, for climate change and climate action, to testifying in front of Congress here in the United States, to giving a speech at the United Nations General Assembly. How does all of that happen? Well, that happens just like I said it did. It happens with having the behind-the-scenes power and the pull. Now, over the last 48 hours, digging into some information, I come to find that this young lady has her own YouTube channel, and you can see that some of her videos are very well scripted. You can see that she is reading information that is prepared for her in these speeches. And one very, very disturbing thing that has come across my desk over the last 24 hours is, and this is by her own admission, but I also was looking into this about 2 days ago, is that this young lady, I don't want to use the word suffers from, but has been inflicted by Asperger's. And again, from her own admission, that she is kind of borderline on the autism spectrum. She's very articulate. She's very smart. I really was offended by the aspect of these people in the NWO and her own parents exploiting her for an agenda, propaganda. When I found out about her condition, I kind of took that to heart. Why? Very simply, I have several friends of mine who have children who are autistic. I do have one friend of mine who does have a son who has Asperger's. Over the years, I have seen my friends struggle, cope, and try to deal with what has happened to their child. I'm very grateful that my two children are not afflicted with anything like this. I don't want to say normal, because this young lady, to me, she's normal. But what I see, ladies and gentlemen, is I see this young lady programmed and exploited for a New World Order agenda and propaganda. Some people, journalists, have compared what is being done to the age of Adolf Hitler, Nazi Germany, and that propaganda. Even down to the way this little girl looks, her appearance, with her hair parted in the middle and her pigtails, and what she is saying. And I have to say that, man, that's pretty spot on. I mean, if you studied World War II history and that propaganda, I mean, they're comparing those old World War II propaganda posters against her pictures, and they are almost identical down to the pigtails. It's a shame. How could her parents allow this to go on? I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I watched a video yesterday of one of her mother's opera performances, which was the most sexually erotic opera performance that I have ever seen in my life. And I'm not an opera fan. My father was, but I'm not. It was almost like soft porn. I don't know if any of you saw what happened in New York City and Washington, D.C. yesterday. Climate change or climate action protests all over the place. And then you have kids, teenagers, children in these massive assemblies, protests. How is this organized? Who is organizing it? Who is funding it? So now, ladies and gentlemen, the NWO, the elite, have gone overboard, and now they are taking our own children and exploiting them, creating fear, and using this young lady to do it. Because they know kids, teenagers, will listen and click together with other kids. That is exactly what is happening, and that is exactly what happened in the World War II era with that propaganda. I studied World War II history in depth when I was in school. We actually had an assignment where we had to draw and duplicate some of the propaganda posters and recreate them of our own hands with magic marker and poster paper. I remember those propaganda posters. I remember all of that. And I see it all coming back. What worked in the past can and may work in today's times. And from what I see over the last 48 hours, it sure as hell is. The bottom line, folks, some of the scripts that they're giving her to read and the scientific information that they're giving her to spew out there, I'd say about 70% of it is factually incorrect. That is just not my opinion. If you've listened to some of the media mouthpieces that have had different scientists on to give their opinions and so on and so forth, some agree, some disagree, some are on the left, some are on the right. It's always going to be that way. But we as a people, we are living, seeing, breathing, feeling what is happening. Climate change, this sudden, ladies and gentlemen, just doesn't happen naturally. There is something else, another factor that is inducing it. As I've said before, I'll say it again, I didn't think that this was going to happen this fast. But just like any other type of scientific research, you need data. You need things to happen in order to compute all of these factors and all of these things. Sad to say, but that's the way that it is. The more data that you have coming in, the more observational evidence that you've acquired, you're able to form your theories and your hypothesis and so on and so forth. The fact of the matter is the North Pole is melting very rapidly. I did an article about it yesterday. I did a short video about it. There's nothing that we can do about it. The jet stream is so erratic. I've been talking about that for the last almost 4 years. They want to shut me down. They want to shut me up just like they want to shut up all of the other truthers that go against the mainstream NWO agenda and their propaganda. Why? You ask, why, Scott? Why are they doing this? Well, folks, bottom line is they are really trying to induce socialism. That's a fact. Never in my life would I ever think that we would have politicians in this country trying to move towards a socialist country. Doesn't work. It may work for other countries, folks, but it's not going to work for the United States of America. Why? They want more control. I've mentioned this so many times. In order to gain control, you have to control the people. That's what they're trying to do. They are trying to control fossil fuels. That is a fact. Scientific evidence has been out there for a long time, folks. Man-made greenhouse gases, about 5%. 5%. The United States of America has cut back all of their emissions, greenhouse gases, quite a bit. I'd have to give them props on that. They've done a pretty good job on that. Other countries like China, they just don't care. But that's not the answer. I'm not going to get into a bunch of Planet X theory or hypotheses on that subject matter because, ladies and gentlemen, here's the facts. Every single planet in our solar system has heated up. All kinds of, let's just use the terminology, crazy anomalies happening with all of the planets. We see all of the earthquakes. We see all of the volcanoes. We see all of the intense, severe weather. Folks, it just happened steadily. All of a sudden, boom, it's right in our face. Aren't you suspicious about that? Does climate change actually happen just like that? No, it does not. Climate change, natural climate change, takes decades, if not centuries. But all the data that's coming in is showing that it is happening at a very, very rapid pace. The Earth is being bombarded by different forms of radiation on a daily basis, second by second, every tick of that clock. I try to monitor all of it. Now they're taking the tools away. I don't know if any of you watched the video that Mark did on the Blue Kool-Aid channel the other day. But the day before yesterday, once again, very, very, very early in the morning, before the sun even came up, I was paid another visit. Not going to get into all of that right now because of some legal issues that I have to go over with my attorney. And I'll be doing that actually later today. But, yeah, the knock on the door came. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. The intimidation factor. Well, all I can say is that conversation with that group of men did not go very well for them. But they did what they had to do. They said what they had to say. They actually had no legal grounds whatsoever. One of them had a folder in his hand. I asked if I could see it. I was denied access to that. And, they went on and on with their spiel. And then they quietly left. Boy, are my neighbors getting a real good show last 2 summers in a row. Yeah. Almost a year to the date, the last time they were here. But whatever. Doesn't scare me, doesn't bother me. But I could clearly see that me and many, many others in the opposition truth community are being silenced, blackballed, shadow banned, censored, dethrottled, whatever you want to call it on social media. So, I just so happen to have a very, very good friend of mine, and she is an activist, and she is actually the head of an activist group with thousands of members. Thousands! She's right here in my Pittsburgh area. She keeps quite busy. She has a huge following, and she is very intelligent, very smart, and I asked her yesterday if she was willing to help me out. Because if I can't get my message and my information out through social media without them putting a muzzle over me, then like the old saying goes, I'm going to take it to the street. Because I see that the street activism works. Hell, did you see Washington, D.C. yesterday? Did you see New York City yesterday? Yeah. So, with her help, well, we're going to start organizing some things in the very near future. My schedule is going to lighten up after the 1st of October. And I'm going to have a little bit more time on my hands. I'm going to be looking for other organizers in other cities and states And we're going to go out there and we are going to talk about reality. Hardcore reality. Not some scripted bullshit that some New World Order individual wrote up for me to read. I'm going to bring on some other folks if they are willing, and we're going to go at it. We are going to go at it because, you know, folks, we all do have the right as human beings, regardless of your religion, your race, your skin color, regardless of your beliefs, whatever. We all should be given the right to the truth and the ability to survive, take care of ourselves. Remember, like I say, knowledge is power. So if we have the knowledge and the correct power, then there's a pretty good chance that we can take care of ourselves, save ourselves, and help each other. But the NWO, globalists, they don't want that. See, they want complete power because they know something's wrong. They know exactly what the problem is. They know exactly. How did this come about so suddenly? Listen, folks, they've known about this incoming system for decades. That's already been proven. I guess they didn't know exactly when things were going to change. Just like any other science, you have to wait for some of that data to come in. So then you could kind of fine-tune your hypothesis or your theory. Now that people like me and many others have divulged a lot of information, we've uncovered a lot. We've put it out there for millions of people to see. Now, what you're looking at on your screen are the countermeasures. They have more money than I do. They have more power than I do. But it is a shame. It is a stinking shame that they're using our youth and they're using this young lady as a mouthpiece, a propaganda tool. It's terrible. I've been very critical of this young lady. I don't agree with probably 75% of what she says, but I've been watching and paying very close attention to her body language when she's giving speeches and when she's giving interviews. I could see when she's giving speeches, she has been coached. She's naturally reading from something that has been written for her. Very scientific information. I could see the anger inside of her. And that some of that may be attributed to her Asperger's. But she admits it. But it is a shame that I can clearly see now that this young lady has been programmed. Plain and simple. I was listening to a few reports this morning on different news stations. They were kind of all saying pretty close to the same thing, that the child psychiatrists and child psychologists, they're all saying the same thing, that this is awful. Awful. That what they're doing with this child is pure exploitation. It's bad enough. Oh, I'm going to say this and I don't care. It's bad enough that these globalists and these people with this freaking New World Order, It's bad enough, like people like Jeffrey Epstein exploit children in the ways that they did, and they're not in prison. And now we have the exploitation of children as propaganda tools, because they know that teenagers, younger kids, when they hear a child like Greta up there on the main stage, they're going to pay attention to her. And she's literally telling people that the world's going to end. These kids are thinking that their lives are becoming meaningless. Well, that's not true. It's not true. I've mentioned many, many times before, folks, that we are going to undergo some very, very severe changes on this planet, but we are tough human beings and we can adjust. But we need to know the truth. If we had the truth, and we did have people in the science community and the governments all working together, then we can pretty well get through this. And then adjust. I truly believe that the powers that be they're wanting to take advantage of this situation. They're wanting to invoke this socialism to gain more control over your fossil fuels, over the food that you eat, the air that you breathe. But it is a stinking shame that they're exploiting our children now. Don't you see it that way? I mean, if you think I'm wrong, tell me. But I don't think I'm wrong. I think I'm spot on. I think the Lord Almighty has given me the gift to see through the smoke and mirrors that are placed in front of me. I want to share with you the interview that she did on CBS Morning News, where she talks about her condition with Asperger's. And she even states that she is on the autism spectrum. I think the exploitation of this little girl is repulsive. I don't care what kind of agenda you have. I don't care how many billions of dollars you have in the bank. The children of this world do not deserve to be exploited in any way. Don't get me started, man, because I'll go off and I'll start dropping F-bombs like crazy. But it really makes me mad that when I see things like this happening. It's terrible. But I want to share this this interview with her. Let me jump out of here. I'm going to shrink down my head a little bit. And let's jump over here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to jump into my history here.
Did you check the alert?
On it.
How about the servers?
They're up and running.
Okay. We're going to skip this ad and you guys listen to this interview. And this was on CBS this morning. And this was on September 10th.
Last year, with her solitary strike against climate change outside Sweden's parliament,
She's inspired millions of supporters to rally in more than 150 countries. Greta recently sailed across the Atlantic Ocean in a zero-emissions yacht. She landed here in New York, where she'll be speaking at the UN's Climate Action Summit later this month. And Greta joins us at the table. Greta, good morning.
Good morning.
Glad you made it on the boat.
Yes.
Glad you made it.
Yeah.
Your message for world leaders is that it's time.
You know, folks, I just want to stop right there real quick. Then I'll let this interview play. But she didn't want to fly. This is what they say. This is the propaganda. They said that she didn't want to fly from Sweden to the United States. So she came here on a huge sailboat, sailing across the Atlantic Ocean, okay, in the midst of the peak of the hurricane season. Now, for each and every one of you that is a parent, just based on safety, would you allow your little 16-year-old daughter to sail across the Atlantic Ocean in the freaking peak of hurricane season to get to the Statue of Liberty, New York City, Staten Island? That is propaganda at its best. Because if my daughter would ask me if she could do something like this, the answer would be no. No, you can't. But apparently, little Miss Greta Thunberg and her parents allowed her to do it. No safety risk. Go ahead, Greta. Sail across the Atlantic in the midst of the peak of the hurricane season. Don't you find that kind of odd? I do. Let's get back to this interview.
To panic, and you want them to panic. What do you hope happens next?
I mean, of course, by panic, I don't mean literally panic, but that especially they step out of their comfort zone, because the planet is outside its comfort zone, and we also need to be outside our comfort zone to prevent the worst consequences from happening. And what I want people to do now is to become aware of the crisis that is here, and that I tell world leaders when I speak to them, and I tell them how it is, how I tell them the science and how it looks like, and
what do they say?
You said to us a moment ago you want to push them against the wall.
Yeah. To shame them, you said.
Those who need shaming. Mm-hmm. And it's that I have been doing for quite a while now, and it actually has a lot of impact when you speak like truth to power, when you don't bother to be polite, because this is such a serious crisis, and we cannot focus on what we can or cannot say. Now we must speak clearly about what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, Greta, what gave you the confidence to do that?
That's what I was wondering too. Yeah.
I don't know. I just know what is right, and I want to do what is right. I want to make sure that I have done everything in my power to stop this crisis from happening, to prevent it, and that I promise myself that I will do everything I can, and that is what I'm trying to do. And also, I have Asperger's. I'm on the autism spectrum, so I don't really care about social codes in that way.
In fact, you called your Asperger's, you called it a superpower, a gift. What do you mean by that?
Yes, in some circumstances it can definitely be an advantage to have some kind of neurotypical diagnosis and to be neurodiverse. I mean, and because that makes you different, that makes you think differently, and especially in such a big crisis like this, when we need to think outside the box, we need to think outside our current system, that we need people who think outside the box and who aren't like everyone else.
Okay, folks, I'm gonna cut that interview off right there. They just go into more of the propaganda. Whenever I saw this interview, my heart just literally just dropped. But at the same time, I was analyzing her body language and analyzing what she was saying and comparing it to some of the speeches that she's given. And you can clearly see that the child is completely programmed. I don't know how a parent could allow this to happen to their child. So, you know, we kind of see the same things happen with child actors, you know, child musicians. Their parents see the fortune and fame, and then they exploit their children and then steal their money. But I just found it awful. And I think this whole situation with the NWO using this child as their mouthpiece and their piece of propaganda is one of the most terrible things I've seen in a long, long time. I don't know if any of you are agreeing with me or not. Maybe you see things in another way. What I see here is the elite exploiting children in a different way other than the way Mr. Jeffrey Epstein and all of his cronies exploited children for decades. Let me take a breath on that. Yeah. Let's we're going to move to her speech at the UN, the United Nations General Assembly. And I watched the whole thing. And I got to say that you could see some anger, some hatred, but you could also see the programming in this child. And yes, she was referring to a script or a speech, a paper that she was holding in her hands. Something that I did notice is she is trained. There's no doubt about that. I came to find out that she does have a handler, a German woman, who is a climate change activist, and this German woman has already been photographed with her. They already know who she is, and that is her coach. Her coach! The little girl has already been on the cover of Time magazine, and the behind-the-scenes photographs have already been put out there on social media and the internet. And I gotta say, wow, this just looks more and more and more like the exploitation of child actors and child musicians, what they do to them. You all know it. You've all heard the stories. You've seen it all play out over the decades. Man, starting to get mad. Anyways, we're going to pull up the NBC News report here, and let's listen to this. I'll go ahead and back it up. We'll wait for this this ad to pop out of here.
It's all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight. You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency. But no matter how sad and angry I am, I do not want to believe that. Because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil. And that I refuse to believe. The popular idea of cutting our emissions in half in 10 years only gives us a 50% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees and the risk of setting off irreversible chain reactions beyond human control. 50% may be acceptable to you, but those numbers do not include tipping points, most feedback loops, additional warming hidden by toxic air pollution, or the aspects of equity and climate justice. They also rely on my generation sucking hundreds of billions of tons of your CO2 out of the air with technologies that barely exist. So a 50% risk is simply not acceptable to us, we who have to live with the consequences. To have a 67% chance of staying below a 1.5 degrees of global temperature rise, the best odds given by the IPCC, the world had 420 gigatons of CO2 left to emit back on January 1st, 2018. Today that figure is already down to less than 350 gigatons. How dare you pretend that this can be solved with just business as usual and some technical solutions? With today's emissions levels, that remaining CO2 budget will be entirely gone within less than 8.5 years. There will not be any solutions or plans presented in line with these figures here today, because these numbers are too uncomfortable and you are still not mature enough to tell it like it is. You are failing us, but the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you. We will not let you get away with this. Right here, right now, is where we draw the line. The world is waking up. And change is coming, whether you like it or not. In school.
Woo! I'll tell you this much. The little girl definitely does have some fire. There's no doubt about that. And regardless of her Asperger's condition, I truly believe that this young lady is very, very smart, very intelligent, very articulate. It is a shame that she is being used as a pawn, when in actuality, she can be used, or I guess, in the worldwide spotlight for all of our children and our youth to understand what is happening. Not to scare them to death, because that is exactly what they are doing. They have a movement right now with teenage girls that I caught wind of a few hours ago. The movement is that the teenage girls, when they get older, they are refusing to have children in the future. I mean, isn't that something that if you have teenage girls, you're a parent? I mean, isn't that something that you've instilled in your teenage daughter? Okay, get an education, start a family later on, become somebody, do something. Yeah. When I watched this speech of hers, all I could see is my daughter on that stage. It chewed me up, man. Really did. Some of the things that she is stating in that speech were correct. But then you wonder to yourself, who is she talking to? Who is she talking to? Who is she directing this speech toward? She states that we will be watching you. Who? Who will you be watching? The only people that you're going to be watching are the elite, the New World Order, that put you right where you're at today. And Greta, maybe you're watching this. I doubt it. Maybe you'll see this at some point in time. But my dear girl, you're being used. And I know you may be too young to understand that because of everything that you've been through, but they are using you. And you are using your talents and your stage. You're using it right now for the wrong reasons. And you're addressing the wrong people. There's nothing that we can do against these globalists except band together, stay alive. Stay alive. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no doubt that, yeah, like the conspiracy theories go, they want to thin the population out. Fine. Never going to happen. Human beings, the species, we're too damn strong. But if we continue to allow these people to dumb us down, then we are literally going to be in a fight for our lives, more so than we are now. We already know what the root cause is. There's nothing that we can do about it. That monster that's orbiting our sun as we speak, spewing more and more radiation towards our planet in the form of solar wind, heavily charged particles, blasting our magnetosphere, disrupting our magnetic field, creating more ice melt in the northern hemisphere, in the Arctic, therefore creating more disturbances within our jet stream. We know what the root causes are, ladies and gentlemen. We know that. I've been preaching about it for almost 4 straight years. The observational and scientific evidence is there. Climate change, as we are hearing about it now, is not man-made. It is not. If it was man-made, ladies and gentlemen, Think about the Industrial Revolution back in the early 1900s. Hell, if that was the case, the Industrial Revolution would have turned this world upside down. I grew up in the city of Pittsburgh, Steel Town, the biggest steel manufacturing city in the United States. The air stunk, pollution everywhere. I used to walk to school every morning, and it was like walking through the fog, but it was pollution. That was in the mid-70s to the late 70s. My school was across the street from a steel mill that spewed toxins into the air 7 days a week for 40 years. And that's just my city. So what happened to climate change then? Why wasn't climate change upon us like that? Why all of a sudden did it happen so quickly and so fast? See, ladies and gentlemen, there is the X factor that nobody wants to agree upon, that nobody wants you to know about. Think about it. Get your thinking cap on. Take the tinfoil hat off, as they say. Put on your smart hat. How in the hell can this happen so rapidly? Yeah. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. It's a shame what they're doing to this young lady. Her parents should be ashamed of themselves. And the media is just going to use her, and when they're done, they're just going to throw her away. That's the sad part. Just like they do to every has-been actor, actress, or musician. When the big production companies are done with you, they crumble you up like a piece of garbage and they throw you away. Why? Because they have a new gem forming that they're going to be using as their propaganda and their mouthpiece. I want to show you guys a video that I did this morning, and no sooner than I uploaded this video did not even have, let me just stop it right here. This video of mine this morning, it did not even have one view. Didn't even have one view. And I got an email immediately from YouTube, from the boob tube, wanting to strike down my video. And then 2 minutes later, I get a content claim violation on my video. And the content claim was another YouTube channel called Vice that was claiming the content in my video. My video had 23 views. It was only up for 2 minutes. And it was already being harassed. This other YouTube channel, Vice, big channel, over 1 billion views on YouTube. They do not own the copyright to Greta's speech at the United Nations General Assembly. This was nothing more than an immediate attack on my videos, just like all of my videos are attacked. My Facebook pages are attacked. My Twitter account is attacked. My websites are attacked. Every minute of every single day. So, if there wasn't any truth, in what I'm saying, why attack me? Why? Why is it twice in 2 damn years, twice, do I have federal authorities knocking on my door they just barked up the wrong tree. Just like I told them last year when they told me and Dr. Albers, get off of YouTube, don't write any more books. Me and Dr. Albers sat down and we wrote our 7th book in 3 days. And I did it for spite. Now we've published 12 books. We're actually working on number 13 right now. So don't think that you could come to my door, my home, and knock on my door and intimidate me. Because guns and badges, they don't intimidate me. I've been locked up before. I've been in handcuffs many a times. That shit does not scare me. So I will be getting together with my activist friend. We're actually going to have a meeting this upcoming weekend, and we're going to spend some time together, and she's going to introduce me to her local group right here in the Pittsburgh area. And if I have to kick this damn thing off in my own city, I will. I will. I'm done playing games. Period. You want to troll me? Go right ahead. You want to call me names? Go right ahead. Because that doesn't bother me at all. The truth will come out. There's no doubt about it. You can take away all the tools that I use. You can take it all away. You can't take away my voice. The only way that you could take away my voice, there's one way. And that's to silence me forever. Send me to meet my maker. Ooh, maybe I'm biting off more than I could choose. But look, that's the bottom line. And it's not like they've done it before. Oh, of course they've done it before. Look, look how many scientists have been silenced. Look how many journalists have been silenced. Look how many politicians have been silenced. They've even gone as far as to silence a president, JFK. Not to get too conspiratorial with all of you. But it is what it is, folks. Pretty sad. This is a portion of my video from this morning. And this was when President Trump was walking out of the United Nations General Assembly. And little Miss Greta was standing there. And I think that she wanted to be acknowledged by President Trump as he walked by, because he was very close to her. And you'll see that in the video clip. And he walked right by her. I don't know if he purposely ignored her or he just didn't see her. Because for 16, she's little. But the look on her face, wow. It made its way all over Twitter, all over social media. Some people were making fun of it. It is what it is. This little girl is, man, she is main stage. She is the biggest thing going on right now in all of the world news. Not Iran, not Afghanistan, not even the U.S. presidential campaign and the election coming up in 2020. And these morons in the Democratic Party that are running for president. This beat it all. It beat it all out. Check it out. There's no sound to it, but you'll see. You see those eyes that she's given him? She's so mad that he passed by and didn't say a word to her. She is so mad. I could feel her blood boiling that she wanted the president to stop and acknowledge her and talk to her. I'm sure if Trump did see her, maybe he would have. But I saw the whole video before it was zoomed in on, and the way that he came in, from the side, it would appear that he did not see her, because I think he probably would have at least stopped and acknowledged her, maybe said hi, but I don't think he saw her. But there is so much. There's so much going on Twitter. I mean, let's just bring up Twitter. You could go right here immediately. Trending. Look, what's the first thing that comes up? First thing that comes up. That's it. There's the look on her face. There's Trump with his gums flapping, and there she is. And I whenever I saw this still photograph, I actually felt bad for the little girl, because I know that deep down inside, I believe that she thinks that she's doing the right thing, but maybe she doesn't understand the way that she's being manipulated. Now the media is going to take their share of that manipulation. They're going to add more to it. And, yeah. And it's a shame that a little 16-year-old girl, her name is the biggest trending thing on all of social media around the world. Talk about exploitation. Key word. There's little Greta right there. And I look at her and I see my own daughter. And I would never, ever allow anyone to exploit my child like that. Under no circumstances. Makes me sick. I mean, you can see the things that are already flying around on social media. It's terrible. And that look, I mean, wow, man, this has made its way all over social media. I mean, I've shown it. I've posted a lot of information on my Twitter and my Facebook pages, articles. I did a big article about her a few hours ago. I mean, the seeing eye, save our climate. These are staged photographs. More and more and more is coming. We'll go to my Twitter page, and I shared a lot of this. There were a lot of comments that were being made about her condition that were referring to fetal alcohol syndrome and facial features. Just so happens that I do have a very, very good friend of mine. Unfortunately, during her pregnancy, she was addicted to alcohol, and she did drink heavily during her pregnancy. And her little boy, he's 13 now, 12 or 13, but he has the identical features that she does. Identical. Yeah. She regrets it. She regrets what she did, and she has gotten herself help, and she's now leading a beautiful life. But in conversations over the years, she regrets what she did, and it haunts her. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened to this little girl, but there have been numerous psychiatrists, child psychologists that have kind of been interviewed on different media programs over the last 48 hours, and they've pointed to this. And there was a medical doctor that is on Twitter, and he is the one who pointed this out. He actually used this fetal alcohol syndrome picture. Yeah. Here is a video that I shared on my Twitter account directly from Greta's YouTube channel. And again, she's 16. I don't know if I would let my daughter have a YouTube channel at the age of 16. I just don't know about that. But, yeah. Then they got this picture of her posing in a photograph with a few others with an Antifa shirt on. Now, she explained why she had the shirt on and this and that, but still, they're exploiting her. More propaganda. This photograph that you see there, that is comparing her to World War II propaganda. So, but do you see the similarities? The pigtails, the look, it's almost identical. How could you say that it's not? Oh man, this is really... Here's the worst one. I mean, these people will do anything to poison the minds of the weak-minded. And that's basically what it is. The weak-minded. A lot of people are falling for this already. Check it out, folks. A few hours ago, NBC News posted the speech that she gave in front of the UN. I went into that post on Facebook and I made a comment. And I posted a link to the article that I wrote. I went back 1 hour later. 1 hour later, I went back to that NBC News post that I commented on. I went back to Facebook. This is no lie. Under my post, under my comment on the NBC post, there were 256 comments. Under my comment, people bashing the living hell out of me. But when I started clicking on the people's Facebook profile, there was nothing there. The Facebook page was blank. No posts, no pictures, nothing. Just an ordinary profile picture of whomever. And they tore me apart. And you could see in all of the comments that they were real long and they seemed like they were cut and paste, copy and paste, right out of a handbook. Right out of the government trolling operation handbook, baby. Yeah. And they, my Twitter account, I don't reach a lot of people on Twitter. They don't let me reach anybody on Twitter. Absolutely nobody. Here's the article. This is the article that I wrote on the Planet X News website several hours ago, and it's pretty damn in depth. I titled it, "The Climate Girl, Greta Thunberg, has nothing to say except what adults have taught her." And that's a fact. They started this with her when she was 8, supposedly. Now she's 16. So that is enough time to really program a child. And this goes on. And then something one of my truther friends discovered is that Greta has a profile on the actors and actresses website. What the She's a little actress with credits. Verifiable credits, movie credits. Whether they be a documentary or a show. Oh, come on now. Are we getting a little too conspiratorial here or what? Call it what it is. That is a fact. I gave the link to it. I read the whole damn thing myself. I was flabbergasted to know that this little girl has a little bit of an acting career. Yeah. How do you like them apples? Here's the video that I did. I embedded it. And then everybody was saying that this is a tweet from President Donald Trump. I included this in my article. They said that Trump was trolling this little girl on Twitter. But here's his comment. "She seems like a very happy young girl looking forward to a bright and wonderful future. So nice to see." How the hell is that trolling? No. Don't think so. Now, here is the behind the scenes photographs that I caught when they were photographing her for the front cover of Time magazine. And there, the lady in yellow. Oh, one of her little trainers. Yeah, just like they do to all child actors and musicians, propaganda pieces. They train her. And that's exactly what that woman is doing right before those Time magazine photographs were shown. I included some memes that were out there already in this article. That dreaded mean look on her face as President Trump walked by and did not acknowledge her. More photographs, staged photographs, her holding her activism signs when she was doing her little sit-ins there in Sweden. And this photograph was actually in a news report from another website, and they were catching her facial expressions during her UN speech and talking about how programmed she was it was almost like acting, because there were several instances during her speech where only a professional person that gives a lot of speeches knows when to stop talking and wait for the audience to clap or applaud. And she actually did that several times. So that's somebody who knows what they're doing when they're speaking publicly. When they hit those high notes, and I'm not talking like, la, when they hit those high notes of their speech, you kind of pause, because you know that people are probably going to clap or, applaud, and they'll end up cutting you off. So you pause. And I've given, God, I don't know how many speeches. Matter of fact, I took the Dale Carnegie course of public speaking because I used to have to speak in front of large groups of people every single week. And it was very helpful taking that course. It teaches you a lot. And that is one of the things that they teach you. To pay attention to your audience. Listen to your audience. Know when to start, know when to stop. And I saw that in this young lady during her speech. And one of the people that I forgot to talk about with the funding behind Little Miss Greta, we talked about George Soros, we talked about Al Creepy Gore, and our main man, Bill Gates. Microsoft! It's all here, people. I mean, I invested hours and hours and hours into putting this article together, getting all of the information, even from Europe. And check this out. This is a video that I embedded into the article. And this was a Swedish journalist that was talking to her right after one of her little activism sit-ins in Sweden. And he was asking her some questions. Just kind of, off-the-cuff questions. She looked nervous when he was talking to her. And those well-prepped answers weren't there. All of the statistics that she quotes and the science wasn't there. And the man is just off to the side. And then you see that lady right there in the black coat? Well, that's one of her handlers. And when the lady in the black coat noticed that this journalist was speaking to her and the conversation was getting a little too deep, the lady handler came over and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. She has somewhere to be." And she rushed the little girl off. And then who was standing right in the wings? A man in black, bodyguard of some kind. And then the camera pans over and you could see the big bodyguard dude and the handler woman and Greta standing there discussing what just transpired. You see? You see? Huh? There's her mother, who is an opera singer who does some pretty erotic opera. And this is information already dug up on George Soros backing Greta Thunberg, or Thunberg, however you pronounce it. She's even visited the Pope, the freaking Pope. And there is her little German coach. There's her little German handler right there. Boom. Louisa Marie Neubauer. Right there. Bingo. Poor little girl. It's terrible. Terrible. Tell you what I'll do, folks. I'll put this in the live chat. You guys can go ahead and check that out. That was the article, the link. I'll put the link in the description box under this video. Whoever catches it later on, you guys could go and check it out, or just go to the description box, click on the link for the Planet X News website, and go there and read the article. Read it. Check it out. That's why I work so hard to, gather information, put it together professionally for you guys to read and educate and enlighten yourselves. So take the time and definitely check it out. One other thing I want to touch on real quick. Let me go over here real fast. Planet X News, our Planet X News group. Got a couple people that want to join now. We just reached a little over 3,000 new members. Now, take a look at, see this one right here? Just joined Facebook, September 23rd, 2019. Fake profile. Come on. You're not getting in. Sorry, you've been rejected. Yeah, I get that all the time, folks. I get these, I don't know, they're probably like deep state fake Facebook accounts. And then like the ones that try to friend me, they're always the sexy women like showing half their boobs in their profile picture. And they want to be friends with me. Okay. But I shared a lot pertaining to this subject matter in the Planet X News group page on Facebook. You guys can check it out. There's her little YouTube channel. This video on her YouTube channel was very well put together, very well scripted, and it was professionally done with a high definition camera. That wasn't no damn cell phone video. But all the information that I gathered up over the last 24 hours is all right here. This is the article that I wanted to get into real quick. And the Indonesia haze causes the sky to turn blood red. Well, there's already been a couple of YouTube channels that have falsely portrayed this event in Indonesia as something else. But what it's actually called is it's called a Rayleigh spectrum. And it's caused by these particles, heavily charged particles in our upper atmosphere, and also heated. You could read about it. I've discussed this type of situation, probably several times over the last couple of years. And but leave it to YouTube. Leave it to YouTube and Facebook and some scammers to go out there, make videos, and publicize this as the apocalypse. But it does happen. You could read about it. It's on the Planet X News group page. It's on the Planet X News Facebook page. It's on my Facebook page. And you can check it out. But the pictures were spectacular. I've seen this condition many, many times before. Let me get down to the one part here. It starts to talk about how this situation transpires down here. And yeah, it goes on and on and on. It talks about how this can affect, it's talking about how it can affect crops and dry conditions and small scale farmers and things of that nature. But it's called the Rayleigh effect. Here, I'll tell you what. And it's spelled R-A-Y, Rayleigh scattering. If you want to check it out, you could go here, Rayleigh scattering. This tells you the scientific background on how that occurs. In all actuality, here we'll go here and we will go to images. And I mean, I could see it already. There'll be YouTube channels out there like Planet X YouTube channel saying, oh, it's Nibiru with the red oxide dust in the atmosphere. When in all actuality, it's not anything like that. It just has to do with the scattering of light. You could read about it. It's pretty scientific. There's a lot of articles, but it's spelled R-A-Y-L-E-I-G-H. Rayleigh scattering. Scientific. Just thought I'd throw that in there. And every so often, you will see situations like this. We saw a situation like this in 2016, 2017, 2018, and here we are, 2019. We see it again. But it is something that we will probably start to see more and more of. And when you see something like this for the very first time, yeah, it definitely does freak you out. No doubt about it. Tell you what, let me see if I could. I already shared this. Let me see if I could get the link to it. Yeah, I got the link to it. I'll put the link live chat, and you guys want to check it out. You can check it out. But, yeah, folks, I mean, I just wanted to give my take on this. And I'm going to go ahead and cut my live stream, cut it off right now. But I really do feel bad for that little girl. I hope things change for her. I don't think they will. It's a shame that her parents have chosen to allow her to be exploited by the NWO, the powers that be, the elite, the globalists, whatever you want to call them. It's terrible. But that is the world that we live in. We live in the world of the deep state. We live in the world of conspiracy. Not much we can do about it other than seek the truth, learn about the truth. Remember, folks, always remember. Right there, baby. It's all you got to remember. Those three words. Knowledge is power. And they want to take that knowledge away from all of us. I'm sure all of you completely understand that. And I'm sure that all of you could pretty much agree with me 100%. Do me a favor, folks. Share this live stream so others have a chance to view the information that you were able to. I appreciate all of you being with me here very early in the morning. Stay tuned to Planet X News. And don't worry, I'll be turning the comment section I'll be turning those comments back on so the troll babies can, come to my videos and enjoy themselves. If you'd like to join our private network, the link is in the description box under the video. If you'd like to join our Facebook group, links in the description box. All links for Facebook, our website, Twitter, books, everything is right in the description box. Ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes and your ears open. Take in everything. But always remember, there's an agenda. There's an agenda for all of this. And the propaganda, it's just going to keep on pouring in. And they're going to mask the real truth. This is Scott from Planet X News. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you for being with me here this morning. Take care, folks. Be safe out there.